right, welcome back to So There I Was, the podcast where veterans come together and tell the stories that are the best ones. They always start with, all right, so there I was. I'm your host again, Travis Womack, and today's guest is Jeremiah Anderson Kappa. Uh, Funny thing is that Jeremiah and I both, our careers overlap for a small period of time in the old guard, um, but glad to have you here, Jeremiah.
Thanks for having me, Travis. Yeah, I love the idea of the show in the background, trying to get veterans to really talk about it and get to the nitty gritty of like the nuance of just being a soldier, not just the poster child thing. So super cool.
Oh yeah, I'm glad you're here. It's very fun to do this, and I've met every single guest but one on LinkedIn, as it is. And it's funny, I sent you a message I think 2 years ago, and we are trying to coordinate it to do it in person, but you're busy with school. And actually, I went to UNT as well. I don't know if I told you that or not.
Oh, nice.
That's where
No,
that's where I originally went before 9/11. I dropped out to my parents' delight to join the army. So, but it's great to see so many veterans out there doing great things. And so you hit a post. I remember a couple years ago, and I was like, oh, we should definitely connect. And here we are, finally making this happen. So what I like to do is just give every guest though kind of the you know when did you join, why did you join, what branch, and just kind of walk us through it.
sure, yeah. I'm the son of a soldier. He was in for 21 years. Had absolutely zero ambition to join the military because I saw my dad was a cook, long nights, early days, and I was like, I don't want that life. That looks lame. And I was actually not doing too hot myself at that time. Out of my parents, tried to do college. I was at a tech school in Waco, didn't do too hot. Um, I was living with a buddy, and this was during the surge. So 2006, 2007, he's toying with the idea of joining the army, and he wants to join the infantry. And I'm
It's the
currently
best.
living at Fort Hood, and everybody's like, "Don't join the infantry," and I'm like, "I don't want to join the infantry. I'll be an air traffic controller or something." And he's like, I remember this to this day. He's like, "So you're telling me you want to join an organization like if you say you work for the Oreo company, you're gonna tell them you like process the bills or something. You don't want to say that you're the one that puts the Oreo together. You don't want."
That's the
So I
greatest
was
analogy ever.
like, so I was like, I'm worried about letting everybody down and everything. So we go to Maps, and this guy, he tricked me. Um, but I was gonna do it anyway. He's a buddy of mine, you know. But he came in, he went in first, and he said, "Man, I already signed up for 5 years infantry." I was like, "What? Like, what do you mean? What is this?" This was after we took the ASVAB. We went to MEPS. This was our second trip to MEP, I think. It was like after the physical, we met all the
Hmm.
qualifications. And he was like, "Yeah, I chose my job." And I'm like, "You gotta be kidding me." So I was like, on that trip to MEPS, his mom was like, "Please take care of my baby." And I was like, "Fine, fine." I felt this sense of obligation. And I went up there and we joined together for initial sign on for 5 years in as an 11 or X-ray at the time. That's how they were doing it. And quick ship. So 3 weeks
Hmm.
later, we were basic training out at Sand Hill, Georgia.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, that's where it all started was that. And um, I'm not mad about it at all. Had quite the weird career. Um, I've been to Germany, DC, Texas twice, Hood, and then two to Afghanistan, one to Iraq, and worked at the Pentagon right before I went to Fort Hood for the LL office, the legislative
Hmm.
liaison office for a little bit, throwing bags and protecting, international stuff. So that was cool. But and then the old guard,
Yeah.
that was quite a very humbling post for me because as infantrymen we just want to just fire out everything.
Yeah.
But there is a requirement. I don't think it's a requirement. I think there is a necessity for slowing down and looking at the price paid,
Hmm.
right? And hearing the stories of those who came before when you're bearing World War II vets, you're bearing Vietnam vets or World War II Korea Vietnam vets. Like
Yeah, the
you
few,
know.
all the above, right? Was
Yeah,
178, something like that. That
something
was
like
the
yeah,
three
yeah,
Chevys, yeah.
yeah, and it's like crazy. So yeah, that's how it started. That little instance. Let's join the army. We'll get a bunch of bonuses. Why I joined wasn't patriotic. At first I wanted free healthcare and to travel the world. You know, but it became very patriotic later on. Because I knew the system, right? I
Hmm.
grew up in. I was born in a military hospital. That's all I knew. So it
Yeah.
was just like being a company man in a sense. But yeah, it taught me a lot. It gave me exposure to a lot of different things. But yeah, and I have to say, I think my best where I grew up the most was El Paso in Fort Bliss.
Yeah.
That's where all the shenanigans were.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
it's sun 365 days out of the year practically. It's always hot. There's a lot of beach, no water. Um, and just enough sun for you to be able to train all the
Oh, yeah.
time. So yeah, that's how we got started. And yeah, I got out medically, 13 years, medically discharged, my back issues.
Yeah.
Um
Carrying caskets to
uh
do that.
yeah. Oh yeah, casket training. Like my arms were the biggest they ever were.
Yeah.
Like just oh my goodness. Just holding the flag. Just you want to let see if you're really really strong. They sit there, hold the flag for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
At tautness, just don't move, wiggle your toes to make sure your
Hmm.
blood's still moving, kind of thing. Yeah, like your fingers get very very strong. Like
Oh, yeah.
these are really good jar openers at this point.
Yeah,
So
I was on a Red Cycle team years ago, obviously, for the non Arlington funerals, and I did folding flags, and you're like, I'm so glad Taps is a short song. Like, man,
yeah,
this is like a Whitney Houston version of Star Spangled Banner. We're in trouble.
yeah, yeah. Oh man, I we when we're because that was the thing we had to practice for, right? And it wasn't just like because sometimes you get some long-winded chaplains
Oh, yeah.
out there, and everyone's standing there, and if you're an escort platoon, right, you're kind of off in the distance.
Yeah.
You can sway a little bit if the wind
Yeah.
catches you right, but caskets, it's you and the
They're
family,
there.
so you're just can't breathe too much, can't sweat too much. Like you're just like really you can't you just don't make any noise. Um, After you just carried a 500-pound casket, if you're doing if you do, so we do a chapel to Patton. Chapel to Patton is the longest stretch you can do in the cemetery. Actually, I think there's one more that came later. They had to do a
Well,
reroute, but I'm
the new Millennial Project is brutal. You have
is
to go
it
all the way around like a U-turn. Just go
okay?
directly.
Yeah.
You're right next to it, but you're like, that's where my buddy got buried in January. I'm
Mm.
like, there's no road. Oh, this is gonna suck when they do full honors, man. It's a long walk.
Yeah. So you've got the chapel service itself. So you're already standing, you're taking it in, wait, bring out the casket, put it on the caisson, um, and then you're marching out there. And then, especially if there's any sort of like prominence behind who's being buried,
Hmm.
I know that they shored it up pretty well towards the end of my time there, where they were like, okay, chaplain, stick to the script, right? Like,
Yeah,
or if there's going to be like a family chaplain,
right.
like they don't have a script, it gets a little long. So you're the discipline is there, and it's like it's it's interesting to just like the sounds that you hear when you're on the flag, and you can as you're holding the flag, like you could feel like people like lean in, like pull
That taunt.
back, or like you see somebody like you're like because we have little signals we give to each other,
Yeah,
raise the flag, lower the flag, tighten the
right.
flag, all that. And like sometimes people will be staring at you, giving the signals, and the other person on the other side is just like zoned out.
Nobody's
Like,
home.
yeah, and you're like, you're not trying to like jerk the flag, but you're just like, come on, buddy, like get this, you're trooping. What are you doing? You can't talk. So it's just holding the flag over the casket sometimes. It's like I think back and it's like it's not that hard, but it's like it requires your brain to just
Yeah.
be there
Be
all the
there.
time. Yeah. After you've done a chapel of patent, lifted up this casket, put it on, take it off, pull up and then you're sitting there and your blood's pumping, and now you're starting to get like not tired, but like your body's coming down.
Yeah.
Everybody's sitting there, and you're just like your entire upper body is just like tight, tight, tight. And then after that you have to fold it, and it has to be best
Chris.
135
Yeah.
or 2-4, no red, tri corners, everything's tight. So after you've held it there for, I think the longest time we've ever held it there was like 15 minutes, which doesn't sound like a long time, but it's brutal
Yeah.
after all of that. And then you got to fold a really good flag. Hopefully you didn't stretch it out too bad, because yeah, you get either new flags, family flags. I mean, I think we've had 48-star flags for people who are like, there's like a family flag from a long time ago. It's like learning how to fold those, be within it, and not get
Make it look
what
right.
was that? Yeah, what do they call it? You get decertified.
Yeah.
Like the casket team, you got there's red in it, you're gone.
So that's
So
what I always love to tell people, from my time there, like the certification process is, like it's unlike anywhere else. The onboarding, of any unit, you're trying to figure out where, the chow hall is and where's the PX and all this other stuff like a normal base. And then you're like,
years.
most other bases you show up and like, hey, you're in second squad. All right, cool. We're going to field tomorrow. You're like, I should probably get my rig ready. And you just kind of do your thing, and then you go to the field and you kind of just it's a modified figure it out as you go. The old
Yeah.
guard is like, no, you don't do anything for weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're an officer, it could be months. They say there's a
Oh,
90
it
days.
happened.
I think it's 69 days. I'm like, man, we've never handled a sword in our life. Like you want me to do
Yeah,
what? And
yeah.
so you're
I
like,
mean,
why am I touching Coke cans so many times?
yeah. And just the like even the voice aspect, right?
Oh
Where
yeah,
like
commands are different.
people, yeah, people used to be drill sergeants, can't
Right.
pass voice
Yeah.
because it's coming from the throat,
You're right.
it's too nasally or
Right.
it's not carrying because you got to be on Summerall Field, and
Oh
those have to
man.
carry across like I guess in this aspect like the noise of battle, right? Like other people, the crowd, the planes, everything that's happening. Like you have to be able to give those commands clearly,
Yeah.
and they have to teach you how to use your diaphragm.
Yeah. Did you
So,
march in Carl Garkey's change of command?
uh, I marched in the one where
It's 2018.
no, I
Yeah.
didn't.
Man, that was
No.
so I had just taken command and of HNC
Oh,
43, like a few months before that. And he changed out, and I'll never forget. That's when the horse like bucked the guy off. Um,
okay. I heard about that. Yeah.
and they're giving the flowers. The caisson riders were giving the flowers to the incoming, outgoing spouses. As the horse turned around, it's like, we're done. Get off. And like through it was awesome. I'm like, I've never wanted to turn my head to the right so bad right now because it's way over there. I'm the far left formation. And
um.
but the funny thing was that one was done. We all did a passing review,
Uh,
and we all get through, and then behind us was the MP company, and they're all walking all the dogs, and then behind them was two caissons. I'm like, we have
oh.
a legit dog and pony show. Today's the day.
That's so good. That's funny.
I,
That's hilarious.
I sent Carl Garkey a text. I was like, you have the official best dog and pony show I've ever seen. He's like, damn it, Travis.
It's so true. Wow, that's good. It was that the one where I think the OIC was there was one where there was an OIC, it was Major Erlingson.
No, he said
Um
the ground. Lots.
yeah, that one, yeah.
I
Lots
give
he
it
kept going. He
that
kept going.
happened. That happened like a week or two before I got to the old guard. So
Oh, was
I showed up and I'm going to certification, for uniform inspection and stand and all that, and he's there doing like the shoot over and over again, and I'm like, what's this? What's this major? I'm so confused right now. Like it's just overwhelming of all the yeah. There's a lieutenant telling him what in the world's going on at the army. You know, it's just everything
Yeah,
just seems backwards. And but then you're there for a few months. You're like, oh yeah, if you're the one person that knows how to teach to shoot, that's all you do. Got it. You know,
yeah,
and if you can teach marching, which was not my job ever to teach marching. And I walk like I'll never forget the guy teaching me. He's like, you you can swing your arms opposite legs and with them back and forth as you're. Do you know you're doing that? I'm like, what? Like you walk like lurch for 1 second and then you're fine and then you're back to lurch. I'm like, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't know.
the arm thing was always a good one to watch. Or
Yeah,
like when it's going with the same leg.
yeah.
It's like,
It's like I don't know. I guess it's my basketball side. Like same arm, same leg, just makes sense in basketball.
yeah,
And then you're trying to march and or walk, and it's always opposite, obviously. And I'm like,
yeah.
it doesn't feel wrong to me. It probably looks stupid. Like it looks hideous. Stop doing that.
Oh man, sword and saber is just, that was it, it is a very humbling, leveling playing field,
Oh yeah,
right? Because like you said, you get to the old guard and it's like you have to have people that understand um how to start over.
mhm, yeah,
Because you get there and this was one thing that I was just it was really humbling for me, but having to learn from PFCs and E2s and E4s who ran the show, right? And they're
yeah,
saving you out in the funeral or they're saving you in the ceremony. Sergeant, you do this, Sergeant, you do this, Sergeant, pick it up. You know, you're leaning, you rifle this, blah blah blah.
yeah,
You're like, just, pant your rifles, all this, and like, um, and you're or if you're leading in the cemetery or even in the formation, you're veering, come over to the center, come over to the center. Like they're
yeah,
always squaring you away.
yeah.
Your uniform's jacked up. I remember kid he's in psyops now. Good dude. Um, I don't even know if I'm allowed to say his name yet. Well, but he um, he helped square away the sergeant major of the army, Dan Daly. He was
Oh yeah,
becoming the sergeant major of the army,
oh yeah,
and he looked at him and he was like, he looked at his sergeant and he was like, and I think the sergeant had less time in the old guard. He didn't know what he was seeing,
yeah,
but this guy did, and he was like, his stuff's all jacked up. Like he needs to get it fixed. And he's like, go tell them. And so
yeah.
he went over to like he was like an E3, sergeant major of the army. We got to get you squared away. Took him to the office, squared him away, and then put him back on so he didn't look too bad whenever he actually officially
I
took
was
that.
funny you mentioned that story. I was in battalion headquarters the day that happened.
Really?
Yeah, I was going to talk to Colonel Schaus about something. Who knows what? I was on staff, and that was when we had the 1-3 headquarters down by the CIF because they were renovating the old building.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
I was in the basement, as you put all S4s in the basement. It's a rule of I think it was Bravo Company's basement and maybe HSC's. It was both. We moved anyways. I was down there and Sergeant Daly walked in and everybody freaked out, as soldiers do for initial entry because it was unannounced.
Yeah,
I mean, he
yeah,
lives 2 blocks away from that building, right? He's
yeah,
walked in, and I know exactly who you're talking about because he pointed that out. And Sergeant Daly was the coolest dude I've ever. His response was epic because he could have been a complete douche. I'm like, who do you think you are? Like he knew where he was at. Like
yeah,
if there's anybody in the world that knows you're at the right place,
yeah,
and he's like,
yeah,
and he told him to come with me, and they went over to CIF and got him a wool jacket, one of ours, and that dude made his jacket and made it right, and like so, and he wore that jacket until he retired. And I'm like, that's what it should be. And I tell people all the time, oh, people, oh God, they're behind. I'm like, no,
mm,
we may be behind on some things. Like I went to recruiting for 4 years, and like the army changed a lot in that 4 year period of time. Because
yeah,
when I went back, like we used to have ANCDs, for radio fields, like in our
yeah,
desks.
yeah,
You'd
yeah,
be like, "There you go, here, try the
yeah,
radio." Nobody cared. And then
yeah,
I get to this unit and I have this little like palm pad thing, and you got to have a
yeah.
secret clearance. It gets stored in the arms room. There's only 2 of them. Like, we're a HIMARS unit. You realize how many trucks we have? Like, and we have 2 things capable of filling all these radios. Like, to leave for the field is a 3 hour prep just to load the radios because
Yeah,
you only have two of the things. And I was like, what the crap happened? You know?
yeah.
And so like little things like that, you can pick up and adapt. But I was like, man, a Joe in the old guard learns a boldness that is hard to teach early.
Mhm.
They learn like, hey, that's not right. That's wrong.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it looks stupid. And if you get there and red cycle comes around, everybody turns to you and be like, hey, Private Snuffy, uh, how do we do this right? And you're
Yeah.
like, that is not how you do manual of arms. It looks bad.
Hmm.
M16 or, was it 1903 y'all use?
We had the 14s.
14s, it's like, no, he just,
Yeah.
I remember when I was when I went to the Pentagon, we went to my boss's promotion ceremony, and I still have my old guard coat. I can still fit in it too. Um,
No, it's not me.
big, I can't now,
Yeah.
and that's like, so I had mine. I don't know, you probably know all the old tricks, but I gutted the entire interior of my entire jacket. Um,
Did you do time at the tomb?
so I was the HSC commander. I was the tomb commander.
Oh, okay. So yeah,
So
they gave you all
yeah, so I had mine done just before that, but I actually had the my sleeves were sewn all the way down on both sides, so all the creases were sewn in my pants and my jacket, and it was awesome.
it was crisp.
And
Yeah.
so when I go to my boss's promotion ceremony, he's like, "Seriously?" I was like, "What?" He's like, "You can't have the best jacket out here." I'm like, "Sorry, it's in there now. It doesn't leave." You
Yeah,
know,
it doesn't that way. Yeah.
I know how to measure. I still
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. Down to the 32nd of an inch.
In my desk here, I had the old micrometer, wherever it's at.
You got to make sure you have the right one, right?
Oh, I
Because
have
like,
I have the right one, that the ruler that no one can read.
yeah,
I was like,
because there is a wrong one.
oh,
Like
absolutely.
I remember, I got a uniform inspection once, and they're like, "You need to let me see your micrometer." And they like literally put them together. Like, this is why you're not getting, this
Yeah,
is why you're getting
the wrong
this.
one.
Yeah. I was like,
There's the made in China version, and there's the American measurement. So,
yeah.
it's so true.
There's Timu, there's Amazon.
Yeah, exactly. So, in your time in the old guard, I'm sure you've done more than a couple dozen funerals. What's the one that when you're standing there doing whatever your role was, you're like, holy crap, I'm doing this.
Um, so I think the first time that there was a gravity kind of starting was my very first one. It was off site, the soldiers and sailors home. It's like in DC, I think, or Maryland. I can't remember. I've only ever done one there, but that's when I knew that I knew nothing. And that was like the first start of like, okay, shut up and listen. Because I wore the wrong socks. Um, I wore like my uniform was like weird. I was lucky because it was like I think it was an overcoat day or a raincoat day, so there
Mm-hmm.
wasn't too much I could really jack up on that. My buff strap was all weird, so I got a pretty good chewing from a bunch of people lesser grades than the E5s and below. They were just like, "Yeah, your socks are jacked up." Like, thank God you didn't come out with white socks, but those socks are wrong. Um, good thing that no, there was not a lot of eyes because your buff strap. It's like this is the easiest uniform to take care of, and you messed it up. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay. But the first time I was like, this is important, and it really hit me. Was um, for the longest time I did the NCIC portion, like handing off the flag. So right before I started working on caskets, because we were running all people uh, qualified, and I was like, screw it, I'll jump in and help. I was an NCOIC mission where I'm handing the flag off, and this veteran had committed suicide. Uh, and typically in the cemetery, you're doing funerals. People are pretty old, you know. I mean, 50s
Mm-hmm.
and up. Right?
Yeah.
I say pretty old. 50s is pretty old, but they're about that time or frame of life where they're going to die
Yeah.
in the
Generation above
cemetery.
us, at least. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, this lady, maybe she was in her 40s at the most. Young kids, father committed suicide, and um, typically, you don't let the family member take the flag until you finish the
The
whole
words.
spiel, right?
Hmm.
That was not a choice given to me because she was crying from the moment that she came up, right? And you could just tell like it was a different kind of funeral.
Hmm.
There's funerals where they show up and it looks like a circus, right? People are just like there's all kinds of like pomp and circumstance. Or some people are just like very like trying to make it about them, or they're just like I knew this guy. Or it just seems like a procedure versus like mourning because sometimes they're waiting for a long time
Hmm.
for this to happen. So by the time it happens, all that's done. But this one was like
Fresh.
fresh, and everybody's really, really sad. And I go over there and I'm getting on a knee and I'm, ma'am, on behalf of the President of the United States, she just grabs that flag up and just holds it, hugs it. Finish the word. I finished the words and like I just I let her have her moment, kind of thing. And I sit back, do the 3 second salute, and then we kind of take off. And after that, I was just like, this is more than just I'm a squad leader, I'm a platoon sergeant, do what I say, fulfill the mission. Like that's where it came into like, okay, this is just, and people may never agree with me, but I think this was a valuable lesson that I learned. This is just as important as you're in Iraq, you're in Afghanistan. Every single day is a different day.
Yeah.
There is no same day in Iraq and Afghanistan. Is no same route, right? The IED is not going to be in the same place. It's not going to be the same thing. There is no same funeral.
Hmm.
Every funeral is going to be different. Every time that you hand off a flag, it's going to be different. Maybe you run into some of the same things, but you always go in with that same mindset. Today's a different day. Today's a different funeral.
Yeah.
I've got 4 funerals today. My job is to not get complacent and think that it's just another funeral,
Yeah.
right? Because that's when you start getting into discertifiable things.
Yeah.
And not that that's what matters, but for us, like I did over 800 carrying a casket, 400 handing off flags, roughly about 1,200 funerals, give or take. It's not an exact number, but just off of the numbers,
Yeah.
um, I know it was over 1,000. And even though it was 1,000 for me, it was only ever one for that family.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
that was the biggest. That was the mission. I don't remember his name. I just remember it was a sunny day. She had a blue shirt, wearing sunglasses, crying her eyes out, and took the flag from me. And after that, it was like, all right, game time, right? Like
Yeah.
this is a real mission, and that's also what changed my mindset as leadership in the old guard towards old guard soldiers because it's really easy for old heads to come in there and be like,
Hmm.
y'all don't know anything, y'all are so behind, you
Yeah.
guys are just instead of being like y'all will never make it, be like, how do I make you make it?
Yeah.
How do I translate what you're learning now into how you can be very successful? Because just because you're in an area doesn't mean that you can't adapt to an area. And that's
Yeah.
what we do as infantrymen. No matter where we go, we figure out, all right, where are we? What do we need to know? And how do we take that knowledge to be successful? Whether that's applying massive amounts of violence and firepower
Yeah.
or the hearts and minds approach, right? Because maybe we can get a group of people to help, facilitate peace in the region,
Yeah.
whatever the case is. So pass that on to those guys. And after that, I think they started seeing a lot more success. At least with my guy, with the people that I had, they thought more in a more successful way, um, instead of feeling like they were always being beaten down all
Hmm.
the time. You know, with old heads coming in and be like, yo, I'll never get it. Well, let's show them how to get it.
Yeah.
Let's figure out because E6s get there. We have a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah.
How do we make it so that way when they move on, they can you can pass that. It's just pass it on.
Yeah.
Make it happen. It's a high op tempo, but you can make it happen.
Yeah. That's my favorite
So,
thing about the old guard. Honestly, my time there was it's the most senior leaders involvement unit in the Army, like without a doubt. I mean, when the brigade regiment commander is out there doing funerals, like
Yeah.
once, twice, three times a week, when he's
Yeah.
on the schedule for like, hey, you're marching with Bravo or marching with Delta, whatever it is, this is a thing, whenever the ceremonies as far as retirement ceremonies or geo ceremonies or farewells to presidents and good God, when there's a president changeover, it's like this is all we're doing. This is all we're doing. So many farewells, you
Yeah.
know. Um, all those aside, but it's the best thing is you don't get that anywhere else. You don't get
Yeah.
you don't get a battalion commander that's like, hey, let's enter and clear a room, or you know, I don't know, I'm old, so I can, there was 9 battle drills whenever I was a young infantryman. It's completely changed now, but we had clear mine water obstacle, enter and clear a trench. Those things don't exist anymore. But
Oh yeah, they don't.
so like all that went away, and but you didn't see O5s and O6s and the sergeant majors with them like in the
Yeah.
trench. You didn't see them carrying a bandolier or all that. I'm really old. So but it's great because you get up there and like, yeah, you have Sergeant Major Johnson was 1-3 Sergeant Major. I mean, that dude was the most jacked dude I think I've ever seen in my life. I remember
Yeah.
shaking his hand, being like, "That hurts. Don't do that." And there's a great picture of him on the Army website still to this day. With the most like just ghostly stare salute over a casket. I'm like, dang, he
Yeah.
nailed that one. And I've always, that was my favorite thing, was just seeing officers E6s and above going through the gamut to get to do the job. And that doesn't
Yeah.
happen anywhere else, and that gamut is taught by Joe.
Yeah.
I mean, oddly enough, and I mean, I had my 2 clerks in the S4 shop being like, sir, nope, that's a terrible idea. Don't do that, and like in
Yeah.
the good idea fairy is in every officer's head, well, what if we changed it and did this? Shut up. We're not changing how we do funerals on a Tuesday. It's not going to
Yeah.
happen. Like, this is not
Yeah.
how this works. We've been doing this for a long, long time, and many officers have come and had the same. Well, maybe if we did this, and plenty of people have tried, you know,
Yeah.
and we've tried to adjust it. And then what we do, we go back to the way that we know works,
Yeah.
and I don't think you mentioned, almost 1,200 funerals somewhere in that ballpark is the quantity is that people are, oh, you go to the old guard, you're not taking a knee. I'm like, you've never seen the report for the next day. I mean,
Let's talk about taking a knee at the
it's
old guard.
there's was it 8 full honors a day with caskets or a case on, and then you have all the transfers and all this stuff. Like, it's close to 25 to 30 total a day of
A
some
day.
sort. It doesn't involve a full marching element. It's just, I only did like 10. It's just me and a Joe to, transfer and earn, simple things,
Mhm.
just take the load off of the platoons of like, you don't need to provide 2 guys to do this. Me and my S4 clerk can take care of this.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
there's very few of those for other reasons, but it's like the quantity is insane, and
Yeah.
I mean, I tell people what I did with the horses, just trying to provide food for them, and trying to get new horses, and like in the training requirement for that, for the horses and for the people that ride them, and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's a lot of manpower and time, but what you just said about it becomes real, and it gets real quick,
Yeah.
and there's that family that's there that, maybe they waited a year and a half for a case on, because it's a waiting list, obviously. And they're just kind of like, hey, you know, Bob's been dead for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
And like, this is just a symbolic motion in a sense. This is where he wanted to go. He wanted to do it right. And then there's the one like that where like, hey, he died last week,
Yeah.
and you're like, it's fresh and it
Yeah.
sucks,
Mm.
but I think you hit the nail on the head is, I can tell you've heard this before, is like, for you, it's your 100th, for them, it's their only one. And I think
Mhm.
Garky, I always give him credit for that, that was his token thing. Like, you, this is nothing for you. And it should be something simple for us to do and go through it, and not lose composure and all this stuff. But for that family, it's the only one they'll ever see,
Hmm.
or even worse is that maybe the only military interaction they ever have,
Yeah.
you know, and so I think it's a great place, um, to kind of instill that discipline, and it carries over into life, you know,
Yeah.
a lot. Little things like my closet, my wife is like, it's really straight. It's very organized. You got it's by
Yeah.
shorts.
My wife can't say that about mine.
Yeah, so it's short sleeve t-shirts, and then short sleeve polos, then long sleeve t-shirts and long sleeve button ups, and then
Okay.
it,
So that, yep. Yep. I do
yeah,
that. Yeah.
it's a,
Yeah.
everything's just there. So all the
Yeah.
pants are here, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, this is 20 years of doing this, and
Huh.
I remember back in the day and living in the barracks at Fort Bragg, the old World War II barracks before they tore them down, and doing locker inspections, and like, man, this stuff had to be. And we used to start our uniforms, and Army went to the ACU. I'm like, that's the worst mistake we've ever made, was going to ACUs. Like, it's
Yeah.
the worst uniform ever.
It was pretty
And
garbage.
well,
Every variation.
I just look at the time, if you look, you're in the old guard, and then if you came in '07, you just at the cusp of that change, like it was happening, so you
Yeah.
probably got issued ACUs and basic training, I would assume,
Yeah.
and I only had BDUs from '03 to we deployed in '05 to Afghanistan and got ACU, so 2.5 years ish, right? And but I remember very well, my favorite thing about BDUs compared to anything else was if you showed up to the unit and you're a Joe or a sergeant, it doesn't matter, right? On a Friday, you come from whatever the replacement thing is for the base.
Yeah.
You get there, and then you endure the weekend. Maybe you get harassed a little bit because it's fun because you're the new guy. Maybe you don't. Who cares? But on Monday morning, at least at Bragg, we did inspections. You know,
Upper ranks. Yeah.
and it was like, but you didn't even have to do open ranks back then. You could just walk by and be like, your boots suck, and there was
Mhm.
no like inspection needed. I just walk by you. I could look at you and say, your haircut's good, your uniform's crisp, your boots are clean, your berets on the 82nd way, which is debatable. Mine, I'm very piratey, on mine. So, but I bought a beret. I wear a 7 3/4. I bought an 8 for my beret so I could get more cloth. So I was totally I didn't do like the regiment salute,
Oh, yeah,
yeah, I
yeah,
didn't do that. Mine was, I mean, it's right there, I think. Is it right there? Yeah.
yeah,
It's,
yeah,
and but we but you knew real quick if someone was correct, I knew as a leader two things. Either A, I have a really good soldier who's self-driven and took care of himself, which is amazing. Or B, I have a really good team or squad or team leader that took care of this person over the weekend. And if I
yeah.
knew the team leader, Johnson's a piece of crap. So it definitely wasn't him. So I know it's option B over here, which is this soldier took care of himself. And so
Hmm.
I immediately know within 10 minutes what kind of person I'm dealing with. And if they're crap, if their uniforms looks like garbage, it's the exact opposite. He has no self drive, or his team leader sucks.
Yeah.
And it could be both, you know. And so
Yeah.
it's just you understood immediately where to go to fix the problem. Like, hey, why is this guy in uniform not right? Well, I was watching 300 this weekend. It's like, oh my God, you have a new soldier. Your primary job in life is to onboard this person and get them prepped, get them ready to go.
Yeah.
Like, why does he have a hair as long as yours? Sorry, not mine.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but I miss that, and it kind of talked before I hit record about the spirit of the podcast is to get people to share those experiences and those stories, and how they correlate and how they cross over into civilian life, and like um, patience, I would argue, attention to detail is there, but the hardest thing I think is doing anything, doesn't matter what you're doing at whatever job, and you have that little moment where your brain is like, oh man, that was a fun jump. oh crap, work, and you're,
Mhm.
I do that all the time. When it's a beautiful day, I'm like, hey, good day to jump, you know, and because like today's beautiful here in Dallas, and it's awesome. And I thought that earlier. I was like, man, this would be a good. There's no wind. This is a get that little slight breeze, so it comes straight down. You know, I,
Yeah.
I was 6'4" when I joined the army. I'm 6'3" now, so I've had some rough landings.
Yeah.
But so what's the coolest funeral you've gotten to do? That's if you can call it
Uh,
cool
Coolest funeral.
or ceremony, whatever you've been a part of. We've all been a part of more than one
Hmm.
thing.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I'll say there's a level, there's a certain level of cool. I'll tell you what, the coolest story I heard at a funeral. We'll do
Hmm.
that one because I've been a part of a bunch of like cool ones. Right, we brought back some Civil War remains from like
Hmm.
Spain, like Spanish American War remains, all kinds of stuff. Um, I think the coolest one was we're burying a Vietnam vet pilot. He flew Hueys.
Hmm.
And we're gonna get the flyover. There's gonna be like a Chinook and a
Hmm.
Black Hawk and a Huey. But before you typically get the scoop, what this guy did and all this kind of stuff. This guy got shot down 5 times in Vietnam, going back in and like scooping dudes up out of the like an HLZ,
Right.
just going in. He got shot. He gets shot down. Like, all right, go back in. Like just, and it was like that's the American soldier that I know of, right? It's
Yeah.
just like he was a pilot, right? And a lot of infantrymen, we were very
We love
arrogant.
pilots.
But we understand that there's a guardian in the sky. You're
Yeah.
either picking us up or you're dropping something off for us or our friends that we're trying to get rid of. So that one was pretty cool to hear, be a part of, because it's like a lot of people are alive because of you. So
Hmm.
cool. I think the biggest one was, and we talked a little bit about this. I mentioned it before we started. Was the Lion State for Bush.
Hmm.
I was the Caskets team leader on that one, so the body burying into IC. And doing something of that magnitude, we had already done two before, one for Senator McCain and then one for Billy Graham. So this was our third one up and out, right? But never done the presidential one. It hadn't been done in like 14 years.
Been a while. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, for Reagan. So um, it's the coordination that goes into that is huge. Uh, Immediately we see that there's going to be a line state. It's all hands on deck. You
Hmm.
know,
Oh yeah.
Joint Task Force gets
Yeah.
activated. Like everybody starts coming together. Like it's intense, and um, it was really unfortunate we had to, but good that we had the practice with the previous two because with the first one we had a couple of practices before we had to like cut the time in half from when we get to the bottom of the steps to the top.
Hmm.
It was like a 4 minute carry and we had to get up there in 2 minutes, so we like had to figure out a way to do that. So by the time we got to Bush's funeral, for the Lion State, that ceremony, um, it was very like uh, very regimented, and we had a lot of the same joint team members on it. So
Yeah.
it was that one's huge. I actually ended up going down to Texas A&M when I moved back to Texas, got out of the army, to go see his gravesite where
Yeah.
Honor Guard
Yeah.
company they carried him whenever they went to Texas.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. Nice full circle.
I remember being in the hangar at and my brain just turned off the Air Force Base there. Where
Andrews.
Andrew, thank you. I was like, wow, that's bad, you know. and and the Marine, those two Marine guys, the casket team. I'm like, we should probably get y'all checked for steroids. That's that's not natural.
Them boys are
Like
big. Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like I remember talking to him like it's like this is all we do. This is the only thing we do
Yeah,
is
it
like
is.
we do caskets for Marine funerals obviously and stuff like that. But it's like our job is to be as big as possible so we can do POTUS funerals,
Yeah.
or super VIP funerals like that, and I was like, "You're doing a great job. Keep it up." Well, the
Yeah.
Air Force guys were at that time. Those are the two biggest Air Force guys I've ever seen too. That were like, or their casting
Oh
team.
yeah.
I was like, they weren't, the Marine guys were massive. I'm like, yeah, we just do biceps and shoulders every day. That's all we do.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, okay, I believe you.
Their program was, we tried to start reflecting that in our program, because the army is usually the shortest or the smallest
Yeah,
on the joint teams. So we were like, what do you guys do? Just
yeah,
so there's like a class they have to go to,
yeah.
like
It's
separate
insane.
course. And then if they pass that and get selected to be on a team, they have to then like double their requirement. It's like what is it? You have to like bench 225 for 20, squat 225 for 20, curl 115 for 20, shoulder press 135 for 20. That's to be on the team, something like that.
Yeah, they
And then
want
you
to go 40
still,
to do it. Yeah,
and you still have to do the PFT, right?
yeah,
So you still have to do your 6 pull-ups. You still have to do your
yeah.
3 mile or your mile and a half run.
Their setups and stuff. Yeah,
And no, so the Marines are,
yeah.
that is wild. And then they just come in shaped up like Greek gods. Like, so when we're getting dressed up, like turn around. Don't look at me.
Yeah. I remember
Oh, good.
that Bush funeral was crazy because I remember was it the receiving? I think it was the part that was in Texas at the airport before the train it was like super windy, like insanely windy down in Houston, which is a normal day in Houston. And I remember
Yeah.
watching all the flag teams. I'm like, that sucks. That's a heavy flag when
Uh,
there's no wind.
mhm.
Like, come on, walk faster. And we had all the states flags up there. I'm like, oh
Mhm.
man, life isn't so bad in
Yeah.
Virginia right now. Like, they were hurting. So
Yeah.
it's crazy. So, well, man, I'd love to stay in chat all day long if I could. It'd be awesome. But what in the spirit of the podcast is, for veterans of any branch, and I don't discriminate for branches, just the Navy. Just kidding. Or sorry, my grandparents are Navy, so I always give them a hard time. I'm 6'4", man. Have you seen a ship? That's gonna hurt. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, but it's the spirit of this podcast is very much for veterans of any branch to be able to tell their story and laugh, have a great time, and in hopes that somebody else out there hears it and remembers and thinks and laughs of a better day, and doesn't, maybe that better day prevents them from making a permanent decision like suicide. Um, as you've seen both ends on the funeral side, and I'm sure you've had, as you mentioned before, buddies that have made that decision as have I. So any kind of closing comment or thought on someone that's maybe considering that, or those in those dark moments.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're right. Right. We've seen the effects of it on the funeral side. Um, seen the effects on it, people who succumb to it. And I've been in that thought process myself, Um, death by Taliban didn't seem too bad a couple of times in my life. So if I had closing comments, I'd say that just one more tomorrow, right? You just keep stacking on tomorrows, because tomorrow's end up becoming a today. And when you look back, you're like, I wouldn't be here, right? I wouldn't have had this opportunity. Um, the days don't always get better before they get better, but you'll have a good day.
Yeah,
You will. And that's the idea, is to remember that things get tough, finances get tough. Um, and it's always hard for people to speak on other people's struggles, right? Because we don't know what they are, whether they're financial, whether familial, job, self-esteem, confidence. You were big, got small, small got big. It's you know every day is an opportunity for you to work towards that millimeter forward, because any progress forward is better than any progress backwards or
yeah,
stagnant, right? So um, I think if I had to say anything, I know that where I am now, is nowhere what I thought I would ever be
Mm.
at all. I'm an account manager. I used to be an infantryman, and I used to be told that I was really stupid and I couldn't do anything, and that was by infantry leadership, but it was also by people that, I used to call family and friends. And
Mm.
the truth is, who defines your life? You do.
Yeah.
So if you want to be something more than what you think other people are, you can. You're allowed to, because that's what one more tomorrow gets you. You
Mm.
know, learn it. You're never too late to start. Start over. And you're never too old to learn. So I know that's a lot of closing comments, but it
Oh
means a
no.
lot to me. You
That's,
because I know that had I been successful 10 years ago, 11 years ago, I would not be able to celebrate the successes that I have now. And they're immense and they're a lot. And those successes mean something to me. They're not the same successes other people would consider successful,
yeah.
but for me, it's far and beyond any of my wildest dreams. And I know with that, I'm empowered to do more
Yeah.
for myself and for others. So,
You're the one that
yeah,
defines you're the one that defines what success means to you, not somebody else.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
For some
So,
people, it can be coloring in the lines. Marines, sorry. Um, sorry, it never ends. It never ends. So,
yeah,
well, brother, thanks for being on the show. It's been a lot of fun, and I've come back around here in a few years. Man, I think get you on here again since you're living just down the road from me. McKinney to
yeah,
Denton's
yeah.
not too far. Let's get together and have a meal or a beer or both. So, and
I'm
until
with it.
then, take care.
Take care.